Hello, my Archeage friends. This is Ariad. In-game name is September on the Thunderwing, the Nui, and the public test servers. In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the state of Archeage in 4.5, and we're going to take a look at what the future holds. So the topics that I would like to discuss with you guys today is the fresh start servers, family fishing, Kadoom, pay to win, legacy servers, and Tryon's responses to those issues. As many of you know, I tend to be optimistic and positive about things, which has led me to being labeled a white knight or even a Tryon shill. The truth is, I'm neither of those, but I choose to look for the silver lining, if you will, for any situation and be grateful for those rather than dwelling on the negative or the things that are wrong. So as we explore each one of these topics, understand that problems are really normal, but it's the reactions to those problems that tell the story. So the first topic up is fresh start servers. On April 5th, 2018, Tryon and XL launched the third time or the third version of fresh start servers. The goal of each of the past releases, and including this one, was to bring new people into the game or entice players that have quit back to the game. In each release of the fresh start servers, including this most recent one, we have seen a level of success to a degree and also problems. Now this time the problems were different than in the past, but we'll explore those more in detail later on in this video. But for now, know that Fresh Start was probably the most excited I have personally seen players. And now that could be because right now in my life in Archeage, I'm more in the public eye, or maybe because this time we were told that the Fresh Start would be different. The level was capped to level 50, and as of this video, it still is. The progression in skills, gear, quests, regrades are all finite and gated in various different ways. This has led to a slower pace and the opportunity for content to be rolled out much more slowly, which hopefully in the Tryon and XL world keeps players interested in the game longer than past fresh start attempts. This idea, I think most of us can agree, at least on paper, looks pretty good. And as of right now, it's providing a lot of us players on the fresh start servers quite a bit of fun. But the launch of Fresh Start and Archeage 4.5 wasn't without its pitfalls. The first problem is that of family fishing. Now, family fishing was allowed on the Fresh Start servers from the very beginning, which led to large-scale use of bots and illegal programs. In short, what family fishing is and was is a way for one person on a single computer to what we call sports fish in safe zones like lakes and rivers, and multiple other accounts or people would support them by cheering. This act of cheering decreased the catch time of the fish, and once caught, everybody got a reward. So everybody that was helping catch that fish by cheering got a reward. The more people you had cheering, the quicker you caught the fish and the more gold everybody would make. This is where the bots came in. By having every one of those accounts cheering and funneling all their gold and rewards to one specific account, this means you could potentially increase your gold by like tenfold. Ultimately, what happened is it led to the prices of Apex, which is something that is bought for real life cash at the value of $10 US dollars, to be bought and stored up by these people taking advantage of the system. So what happened is prices on the North American Fresh Start server, the Nui server, the Apex prices within just a few days were already at 160 gold average at their highest. Ultimately, what was going on was this was hurting the very economy of the servers, making things much more difficult for the free-to-play people and driving prices on all resources to levels which were not conducive of the Fresh Start environment. Well, the outcry was immediate and it started even before the servers launched. A lot of us longtime players, we just knew that the family fishing was going to be a problem, and some of us even felt like Tryon was ignoring us. It is actually much more likely that what Tryon was attempting to do was gauge the family fishing system and then provide information or feedback to XL. Now, there's something to be said about this relationship between XL Games and Tryon that I'm not going to go into detail about that here in this video, but understand when Tryon, the publisher, wants to make a change to the game's functions, they must present reasoning to XL, who is the developer. And also, they're the sole entity allowed to modify portions of the game's code. Ultimately, what ended up happening was family fishing was disabled on April 9th, which is just 4 days after the Fresh Start launch. Which again, given this odd relationship between XL Games and Tryon, it was actually a pretty quick response and a fix to this issue. What happened within a couple of days of this change, the Apex prices dropped down pretty steadily to ultimately around 80 gold. Which is a far more reasonable price. This allows the free-to-play players a small opportunity, which amounts to a small opportunity, to use their daily gold rewards from either questing or their login tracker jobs to get a patron subscription through the Apex. Now, I know some of you are going to say that the damage was done in those 4 days, but ultimately, I would just like to say this. The fix to the issue, while not ideal, because it removed content or a content feature, it was appropriate, and at least it did work until the next issue hit the game. So in 4.5 on the Fresh Start servers, that is or was Kadoom. For those not in the know, Kadoom is a world boss that spawns multiple times each day after a PvP event known as Mistmorrow. Players can receive a quest once a day that, as of 4.5, rewards a rare crafting material called Kadoom's bark. On the Fresh Start servers, this bark has no actual use because it is only used to craft the highest tier of obsidian weapons, which aren't even in the game yet. However, due to this bark's rarity, it can be sold to a general vendor for 35 gold. Now, what happened to all those people that had multiple accounts that were family fishing? Well, if they didn't get banned for exploiting using bots and macros, they simply used all those accounts and started filling up the Kadoom raids. Once again, those with multiple accounts were provided a lot of gold each day simply because all they had to do was go to the event, stand around and hit the boss one time. Now, maybe this gold wasn't as great as the family fishing is providing, but those with multiple accounts were buying mini Apex each day, once again driving our prices up. If this is not enough, the sudden onslaught of that many people going into one very, very small zone started to lag the entire server. So every person online, whether you were in that event or not, were subjected to what can only be I can only say it amounts to a nearly unplayable game experience due to extreme lag. So the problem of Kadoom, which we're now calling Lagdoom, has been steadily increasing as more and more people figured out, hey, those rewards are almost mandatory to get. 35 gold, that's like half an Apex, or now a third of an Apex. So what has Tryon's response been? Well, once again, they sought out the developer XL Games to provide a solution. And so as of this video, on April 26, the Fresh Start servers, Nui and Ezi EU, no longer get the Kadoom event. So this should once again start decreasing the price of Apex, hopefully, maybe, I don't know. But most importantly, it should provide a better game experience for many of you out there. Now, once again, is this the correct response? Well, probably not the best response. I mean, I'm not ever in favor of removing content, but given the problems that it was causing, I think we can at least say it was reasonable. Next up, I want to talk about pay to win. Now, depending on your definition of pay to win, you may not agree with me in this regards, but that's okay. You know, we're all entitled to our own opinions. But if you're like me, and if you ask somebody that plays Archeage, is Archeage a pay-to-win game? Really, the only appropriate response would be, yeah, it's a pay-to-win game. Now, I'm not going to say that the game is only pay-to-win, and you must pay to play, but all things considered, you can most certainly say it is a pay-to-win game. I mean, you can spend a ton of real-life money, and you can get the best gear, the best buffs, and spend very little time doing so. This isn't actually a revelation to those of you that have been playing Archeage since the beginning. I mean, if you're like me, you accept it as a fact and just move on. To others, XL and Tryon Games definitely deserve some blame for this, as they really did try to present this new Fresh Start server as being regulated, limiting the items that could be bought for real life money, only to have that completely change just a couple days before launch. What had happened is things like loot drop buffs, experience potions, skills buffs, movement speed buffs, damage buffs, dungeon entry tickets, which actually allow you to more opportunities to get gear from these dungeons, were made available for real-life money via the in-game marketplace. Now, this actually angered a lot of people, and for me, most notably to me, was a peer, a friend, a subscriber, and, full disclosure, a supporter, Jalon from the Paradox Gaming Network. Now, I must admit, the pay-to-win stuff wasn't the sole complaint that Jalon had with Archeage Fresh Start servers, but it certainly was enough to push him over the edge, ultimately leaving the Tryon Creator Program and feeling that Tryon used him to misrepresent the game through his channels, Twitch and YouTube. And you know what? He is kind of right. He's not alone in his rage. Many people are upset and disappointed that Tryon and XL were so blatantly milking this game for every last penny that they can get. They've already left the game. Others like me, who have been around in this rodeo of a game since the very beginning, treated it much more like, what else is new? Now, I'm not going to cover Jalon's response or Tryon's response to his response. All that stuff is, Jalon is the person to speak with about that. I will say this, that Tryon and XL Games simply do not know anything else. They do not have a single game on the market that is not supported by anything other than mainly cash shops. So expect them to do anything different with this Fresh Start would be like asking a bird to stop flying or a fish to stop swimming. It's just not who they are. And so while we're on this pay-to-win subject, there are some interesting developments coming out in the industry as a whole that may actually provide some positive direction for Archeage and really every game out there. So what is going on is today Belgium has officially declared that loot boxes are gambling. That means that XL and Tryon is going to have to adapt their marketplace sometime in the future if they wish to maintain Belgium as a client country. Of course, there can be some legal maneuvers to kind of skirt this law, or the law whenever it happens, such as saying, "This game isn't hosted in Belgium," which is actually true. The EU servers are located in the Netherlands. Or they may simply disable accepting payments from Belgium as a country, forcing those players, if they still want to play the game, to use alternative and sometimes potentially risky ways to get items that they want. The fact, however, that the EU servers are located in the Netherlands does actually pose another potential rising issue, as the Netherlands is another country which is actively looking into the loot box controversy surrounding them, such as gambling. Ultimately, though, if the loot boxes are removed, it's going to have a very little impact on the pay-to-win part of Archeage as a game. Items will simply be moved from the RNG box prize pool to direct buys. And man, you've guys seen the prices that they put on some of this stuff. It is downright crazy. On top of that, the RNG boxes, which I have actually covered extensively in my past videos, have really gotten so bad in the quality of both the items and the frequency of getting the big prize that they aren't even worth buying right now to begin with anyway. Alright, so let me wrap up this pay-to-win stuff. Archeage is a pay-to-win game by my definition. However, it can also be fun and provide entertainment for those who wish to only pay a little, like for a monthly sub, as I do, or nothing at all for those that are free-to-play players. The game is what you make it. If you want to get upset because you keep losing at PvP, or you can't obtain the best weapons and armor because you can't or won't spend money, you're simply not playing the game with the right mindset. Or you can simply accept the game for what it is and find ways to make the game enjoyable for the time and the money that you are willing to spend. In the end, it is your choice. Make of it what you will, but most importantly, enjoy playing the game with the time that you have. Last on my list is legacy servers. So how has 4.5 been treating them? Are we seeing more or less people? Are people still having fun? Well, personally, I've been spending the vast majority of my time playing the fresh start servers. I still do log in daily to my home server, which is the Thunderwing server now, and I also participate in events like, I don't know, Miss Morrow, world bosses, and things like that, the invasions for the gold boxes. I still do those from time to time. I will say that, as always, the fresh start servers, which they tend to do, suck out a lot of the legacy servers, at least the people playing them, their playtime. Again, I am a perfect example of just that. Been playing on the fresh start servers mostly. 4.5 really didn't provide enough incentive to attract a huge amount of new players onto the legacy servers, in my opinion. So for what I've noticed is, while I'm on the Thunderwing server, which is probably the most populated legacy server that there is on either region, the chat is way, way down. You can also look at the commerce transactions through the auction house, and you can use that as a good indication and see how much or how little things are being bought and sold. Others have also reported things both in the EU and the North America region saying that the servers are dead, which means that Tryon is likely gearing up for another set of server merges. Now, there is no official word that that is actually happening or being worked on. It is simply the cycle of how things have worked in the past. We get new fresh start servers, and then a few months later, servers are merged. Okay, so that said about the legacy servers, there's actually some good news that may offer a ray of hope to those on the legacy servers, and to a degree the Archeage population as a whole. So it appears that Jake Song, the CEO of XL Games, is making his return to day-to-day operations at XL for Archeage Game. Now, you actually may have seen news which was posted by Tryon on their official Archeage website, which was set up as a Q&A, or question and answer, with Jake Song. Now, if you haven't watched the video, I will put a link to the video in my video description. It, like most videos, and I'm just going to recap it here, was put out by a corporation, and you just have to use some discernment, read between the lines. So the most important takeaway for me was Jake Song has been away from the game. I had no idea he was even gone, but now he's back. Which, I don't know, does that mean that hopefully he realizes that his baby, his game, Archeage, really needs some serious attention? It would be tough for me to speculate what this actually means, but I will say that some of the worst decisions in Archeage started happening around 3.0, which was about a year and a half ago, and given the lag time from Korea's release to the North America Tryon EU release, that seems to be about the time when Jake, I guess, left, or did other things. So hopefully this means that we'll see some changes coming to the core systems of the game. The systems that people have enjoyed immensely in the past, like fishing, commerce, and larceny. Hopefully they will adjust them to be more in line with the original vision of the game like they were. Or perhaps we'll even see an overhaul of the game. I mean, I said it many times in the past, but it's more appropriate here than ever. Archeage is a great game, but, well, that is pretty much all the time I have for today. I'm going to roll the credits, but before I do, know that all the new supporters out there, I really appreciate you too, even if you're not in my credits list. I'll get to updating them hopefully before the next video. And remember, everybody out there, please join me on every Friday, 5:30 Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. And we're going to talk more about Archeage, and we're going to follow my characters on their various servers, Fresh Start, Thunderwing, Public Test Server, on their various paths to glory. So until next time, this is September saying, be well. Well, that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you have found this information both helpful and informative. That is the goal of each video. Special credits to Al Hassan Muhammad, Facebook Vibe Skies, and YouTube Al Hassan Muhammad for the intro and this outro music. This video was edited by Arid. You can find me on Twitch TV, Arid_, as well as YouTube channel, Arid. If you'd like to support me, you can follow me on Patreon, Twitch, as well as if you would like a one-time donation, you can do that via Streamlabs. I'd also like to thank my current Patreons, Umutkan Onal and Billy Cool, as well as all these Twitch subs that are listed here. Thank you very much. And then the one-time top donors, Riot Devil, Mac PPS, Ascendra, Eldern, and Wiccan Vape. You guys are all awesome. Thank you very much for the support. And as promised, I will recognize you in each and every one of my videos. So if you'd like to support me, please do so. Until next time, this is September saying, be well.